Hi there, this is Jenny from Jenny's Garden, and I wanted to do a quick video about using pigments. So these are primary element art pigments that I've got right here, and I'm going to do this cute little stamp that I found at Wishful Thinking in Nashville, Indiana. It's by a company called Stamping Bella. And if you notice, it's this cute little gnome that says, "Do what brings you joy, discard the rest." And it's so funny because this stamp has probably been out for several years, and we now have the organization lady who's always talking about what brings you joy and then get rid of everything else. So that's kind of like a very well-known motto, especially if you're in recovery. We use it a lot in recovery. So I've got some watercolor paper that I stamped my little gnome with Finesse Spectrum Noir waterproof dye. So this is gonna not be affected. And the reason I used a waterproof ink is because we use water, water, and water pens and paint brushes to push the pigments around. So a water pen, I don't know if you've ever seen one, or a water brush, is got a water chamber in it. Usually you can buy a pack of 3 with different size tips on it. So I've only got a couple with me. You take apart the chamber and you fill this up with water. So this little stopper comes out here, and then you can fill it with water and put the stopper back in. And that keeps the reason they have those little valves in them, those little stoppers, is so when you pick up the pigment and you squeeze it a little, the pigment doesn't go back into the chamber. If you have some that, you know, the pigment comes back in the chamber, that's because you don't have a stopper in it, which is fine if you're sticking with one color. But when you're trying to mix colors, the problem with painting or anything is if you mix your paints too much, the color will become muddy, and we definitely don't want that. So I've got this great Nouveau Tonic Studios craft spoon. If you notice, it's got a round end and a little long end, and that's what I'm going to be taking my pigments out with. So I want to start with the forest green that I've got right here. And pigments are funny. When you're working with pigment powders, they're funny because sometimes they're not exactly the color. Now these are, but sometimes you'll have a green or a yellow color in there, and then when you mix it with water, it comes out green. So just be aware, don't always trust what you see on the outside. Read the label, okay? So I'm going to open this up, and this is what the pigments look like. They're just all powder. Pixie paint pigments are like this. Ken Oliver's Color Burst. These are what you're seeing inside those little squish tubes. These are just pots instead of squish tubes. So I'm just going to take a little out because a little goes a long way. It has finely crushed mica in it, and that's what gives it its nice shiny feeling. So I usually like to start with my water brush because I can control how much water I'm adding, and then I use my other brush for finer details if I need to. So I'm just going to start pushing this around and coloring. There's a little caterpillar in there, so we need to be careful of him. Isn't it just the cutest thing? And then we'll give these a quick little, make them super shiny. So we just pick that up and move it around with our brush. Okay, and then I want to do his hat the same color. So I'm going to come in here, and I don't want a ton around his hat, so I'm just picking up the pigment with the water brush and moving it around. I'll pick up some of this. Let's make his all swing the same color too. So it's a lot like watercoloring, but without the watercolor paint. So I'm going to pick up some of it over here and mix it over here. And if you notice, when I first push it down, it's got a lot of pigment on it, and so it makes it darker. So you can twirl your brush. And this was just a piece of used watercolor paper that I had in my luggage. I am traveling today. It's raining very badly here in Dallas. We just had some big storms go through. And so we're just chilling in the hotel room. And I'm going to take my water here and bring it up so you can see the design through. Now I will stamp this design again because it will make it a lot darker. So if you can imagine the trees behind him. This nice shiny forest. Watch our stem and our little caterpillar guy. Hi, caterpillar guy. So the reason I put it on the leaves first is I want it thicker there. And then on the background around it, I'm going to have it thinner so those leaves stick out. So because I'm traveling, I don't have a tripod or anything with me. I need to get a traveling tripod, I tell you. So I've got, if you notice, this is a Tim Holtz alcohol ink tin. It's on its side, and then I've got two water glasses stacked up on each other. It's a very precarious position. Okay, I am getting happy with this. This makes me happy. It brings me joy. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is get the blue out. I'm going to open the blue up, and once again, these look pretty true to color. They're pretty good. Just get a little. Just kind of splatter it around. I want some over here. Like I said, a little goes a long way. So these we're going to spread out more because we're doing more of the background on them. I truly believe there's no right or wrong in art. If you mess something up, that's okay. You tried it. You can make something out of it. I very rarely throw something away. I threw something away the other day and then I dug it out of the trash can and stuck it in the pile. I said, maybe I can do something with that later. I had done this really cute card and then I decided, oh, I'll emboss it. And that did not work well, but that's okay. So I'm using my water brush once again. And if you notice, I had left like little stripes around it to fill in that color with. I want my lighter so you can read my words here. And the good thing about pigments too, when you're using a water brush, when you go over it, it'll lift the pigments up and you can move them around so that, like that joy was a little too dark for me around the J, so I just kind of pushed them out of the way. You want to be gentle with your pigments, don't muddy them. That's when you're mixing the pigments together. I may have said that already. I'm sorry if I did, but that's okay. It's good to know. GTK, good to know. Okay, so we're just gonna color him around. I was chatting with one of my friends today and she said that she was not overwhelmed, but she was oh gosh, I can't think of the word. Anyway, she was gonna try a new art technique and she didn't want to try it yet. And I was like, you just sometimes have to jump in there and do it. And if no one sees it and you don't like it, you can do something else. I usually take papers that I don't like and I die cut with them. And I use them for other things. So this is our tree and our forest behind us. Don't you love how it just kind of watercolors some areas and other areas? Makes darker. Okay, so I've got a cup of water. I showed it to you kind of, and I'm dipping my instruments in it every now and then to clean them off. So now I'm going to use this really pretty peachy color. and I'm going to color him and the branch with it. So what I want to do with this is, because I don't want it on my paper like I did the other ones, because I'm not spreading it out, I'm doing a finer thing. Usually you would use a palette, like a plastic palette. I don't have any, and this is a glass table, thank goodness, because they're super easy to clean. And yes, I just rolled that in there. So if you notice, I got pigment on my top. See my pigment on my top? Okay, so what I'll do is take my handy dandy paintbrush. I don't let much go to waste, and then I'll pull that off the top and start painting with that. So I'm going to do the little branch, little caterpillar. It's a different kind of painting that you're doing here. And I don't know if I can move this just a little so you can see where I've got it. Where's my, it's not going to move. Can you see it? Yeah. So this is where I put it down on the table. Then I'm going to do his little feeties. This color is orange peel. And it's really super golden once I start stacking it up. And that's another thing with colored pigments. In between, if you let them dry, you can stack them easier. So we're going to do his little feet. His little hand is right here. And you notice I'm having to use the fine brush for this. I don't want to use the water brush because it will get too wet. And then it'll push the pigments around, and that's not what you want. So we got his nose, his feet. Put some more in this branch. So I'm doing this one pretty thick. I don't know if you can see me picking it up over here, but then it's not gonna have as much water in it. But it will pick up the water from the bottom of the watercolor paper. Got our little caterpillar watching him. I really wanted him to stand out, so that's why I'm doing him a gold. And you know, there's the rule of three. 3 colors, 3 plants, 3. So I'm sticking with 3 colors here. I'm rinsing my brush right now. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to pick up some of this blue. Ooh, that made it kind of pretty. Okay. And I'm just going to put some on him. Because he's a little old gnome. He's a happy old gnome. He's a blue-haired gnome. So now I'm switching over to my water brush. Oh, it's got some extra water on it. Just gonna wipe it off. So then I can bring his colors up, but make it very faded looking. Let me tap on that. I want to get that water out of there. Okay, and then over here, I'm going to pick some of this up and bring it back over here. Can y'all see that good? Okay. Sometimes I forget to check the camera, see what you guys can see. I apologize for that. I get so interested playing. I'm not real thrilled with how dark this is, so I'm going to drop just a little water on it. Then I'll push those pigments out of the way. You have to be careful. Your paper has what it's called teeth on it, believe it or not. And I watched this great coloring video with Spectrum Noir. I think Sheena Douglas did it. And she talked about the teeth in paper. So if paper's real smooth, the teeth are very small. But the rougher and bigger it is, the teeth, and it's really what teeth are, grooves in your paper. And so it depends on the texture of the paper as to how fine the teeth are. And what you're doing is you're pushing pigment into those teeth so that they're filling up with that color and it's making it smooth all the way across. But if you get too rough with the water, then you're going to cause it to pill, kind of like a sweater pills. So you want to be careful with that. We're going to get this guy, he's got some dark green around him. A little gnome on a swing and a shiny fall day, summer day. I guess it's summer, even though the name of the blue was Autumn Skies. I'm going to pick up some more of this and kind of give him some highlights to depth. give some depth with some darker of the color. If you notice, I've not squeezed my water pen. I'm just gently picking up powder over here and moving it around now. Get his little hands again. It's a little too dark on his hands, but that's okay. It will live. Will I lick it? I'm afraid I'll mess it up. There we go. Okay, I can see them through. Now, the last thing I will do is I will re-stamp him with the dye ink, and that way I'll bring the darker colors back out for the dye ink. I think I'm happy with him. I'm probably going to mess around a little more. And once he dries good, then I'll re-stamp him, and I will make the thumbnail the finished product so that you can see how cool this looks and how shiny. You can already see the shine if I hold it like this. That is not water, that is actually the mica. Can you see that? Yeah, I can see the shiny. Isn't that pretty? Pretty, 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 pretty. All the different elements. All right, thank you for joining Jenny's Garden today, and I hope you get some pigments and enjoy playing with them. You know, make it a fun experience. I think this will be like a nice little sunshine over here. See, you just can't stop. It's like eating popcorn. You just keep going and going and going. All right, y'all have a great day. Thanks. Bye-bye.